Hi, I'm Jason Sanders, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to create a no-code app that connects to ChatGPT. In other words, you can actually ask ChatGPT a question in this app and receive a response. I'm going to use a program called Bubble, so you'll need to open a free account if you want to follow along. And you'll also need a serverless API function that pings the OpenAI API. And if you don't know how to set that up, please watch my previous video where I walk you through the process of creating such a function using Microsoft Azure. So with that, let's get started. I'm going to remove my head here so it doesn't get in the way of what I need to show you. And the first thing that I'm going to do is go to my Bubble account. And when you sign in, you'll come to this landing page. And I don't have any apps here yet. Well, I've created some, but I've deleted them. So this is similar to what you would see on your page when you first sign in if you create a new account. And the first thing you want to do is click on Create an App. And so we're going to name, you can name it whatever you want. I'm going to name mine Ask Chat GPT, and I'm going to enter in a few numbers afterwards because this will actually, you could actually deploy this to the web, and I'm sure somebody's already used Ask Chat GPT. So I'm going to click Get Started. And you'll be taken to this four-step creation wizard. And it's very simple. You'll just, you could change the name of your app if you want to here. I'm going to leave it the same. I'm going to click Next Step. And then the font you can change. I'm just going to keep it as Open Sans and click Next Step. Default colors, that's fine. I'll just keep it the same. Next Step. Now here is where we want to connect our app that we're about to create to a serverless function. In my case, I'm going to use the Microsoft Azure serverless function that I've already created and connect this app to the serverless function, which then connects to the OpenAI API. So go ahead and click Install Now, and then click on Get Started Building. And you'll be taken to the design page. And I'm going to move this out of the way here temporarily. We're going to be creating a very simple app, so I can close this here. And let me move this back over here. And this is a blank design page. And basically, there's going to be just four elements. One is the name of the app. Second will be an input field where we can input the question that we want to send to ChatGPT. A button which actually triggers the sending of our question, and then a field at the bottom which will display the response that we get from ChatGPT. So the first thing to do is on this ribbon here on the left, click on Text, and I'm going to create a box which just contains our title. And I'm going to type Ask ChatGPT anything. And I'm going to make it bold. And I'm going to make it bigger. I want it 30 font. And I want the text to be a little more gray. Okay. Now the next thing to do, as I mentioned, I want to put in an input field where users of the app can actually type their question in. And I'm going to go to the left here and click on input. So here I'm going to create an input field. And I'm going to leave type here, that's fine. But I'm going to move this over just a little bit. Okay, so we have our input field here. Actually, I'm going to move it up just a little bit. Okay. And then the third thing that we need is a button. And so over here, if you click on button and then just draw the button here, and I'm going to enter in get response. And let's justify that. And then the last thing, as I mentioned, is I need a text field which will display the response that we get back from ChatGPT. So I'm going to click text again, and I'm going to create another text field here. And I'm going to delete this edit me because we want it blank to begin with. And that's it. Those are our 4 elements. And again, this video is not intended to be a bubble tutorial. I just want to set up a very basic app that you could deploy to the web that simply interacts with the OpenAI API, allowing you to ask ChatGPT questions and get responses. Okay, so the next thing to do is to initiate something when the user clicks on the get response button. So what you'll want to do is click on get response and then click on add workflow. So in other words, we're setting it up such that when your app is deployed and a user clicks on the get response button, we want the app to do something. So we're going to add workflow. And before adding anything to this workflow, the next thing to do is to actually connect the app to the server, the Microsoft Azure function that that I've already created. So to do that, click on plugins and then add another API. And I'm going to name the API primary connector. And you don't need to change anything here. And go down to this section, click on expand. And I'm going to name it completion, because that's the name of my function, my Azure function that connects to OpenAI API. Click on action, and then data type is going to be text, and it's going to be a post because we're sending information to the Microsoft Azure function. And to do that, this next field here needs the URL of my Microsoft Azure function. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here. This is my Azure account, and I've already created a completion API function that is hooked up or that successfully pings and gets a response from the OpenAI API. And I'm going to copy that URL and paste it here. Oops, let me remove my head again. Paste it here. And then body type is going to be raw. So if you think about it, what this is asking for here is the information that you want to send from the app you're creating in Bubble to the Azure function, Microsoft Azure serverless function, which then in turn will send to the OpenAI API and then get back a response. And this is the actual body that we need to use. And as you can see, it's pinging the GPT 3.5 Turbo model. And here, content, this in messages, this particular content, you can see the question. So this is the prompt. This is the question that we want to ask ChatGPT. And in this case, I'm asking it, give me 5 possible titles for a strawberry marketing campaign. In this video, I'm not going to go into the details of why this is constructed the way it is. If you're interested, please go see my previous video on constructing an Azure function, which goes into a little more detail about that. But once you've pasted this in, and you could change this request if you want manually, but for this purposes of this video, I'll just keep it as give me 5 possible titles for a strawberry marketing campaign. And then the last thing to do is you need to initialize this call before it will work. So I'm going to click on initialize call and hopefully get a response from ChatGPT on my question here. So click initialize call. And great, we got back 5 possible titles for a strawberry marketing campaign. So it's worked. It's connected up. Again, to sum up, what we've just done here is we've connected this app that we're creating in Bubble to a Microsoft Azure function that I already created earlier. And this Microsoft Azure function in turn sends this information, this body, this question here to the OpenAI API and gets a response back. And the response that we're getting back is this here. Okay, so let's go back to our workflow. And the first thing to do now that we've set up that connector is click here to add action, go to plugins, and then select primary connector. And as you can see, what pops up here is that body JSON object that that I had pasted in. So I'm just going to close that right now. Okay, the next thing to do is set state. And to do that, click on this second box here that says click here to add an action. Go to element actions, and select set state. And the element that we want to set state for is that text box that I created earlier underneath the get response button. So I'm going to select text here and custom state. I'm going to create a new custom state. And let's see, I'm going to name it API output text. API output text. And the state type is going to be text. And I'm going to click create. Okay, now I'm going to set the value of that state. And the value of the state is going to be the result of step 1, so the result of our pinging the OpenAI API. Then I'm going to close this. And I'm going to go back to design. And the next thing to do is to set up the rendering of our response. So I'm going to click on this text area. I'm going to double click on it actually. Let me move this over. And you'll see how this insert dynamic data prompt shows up. And so you'll want to click on this and then go down to text. And you'll see how this box is called text B. And you'll see how once I select the text, the various states pop up. And I want to select my custom state, which is text B's API output text. And so basically what I'm doing here is I've set it up so that the output that we get from our interaction, so we're pinging OpenAI API with our question, and we're getting back a response, and that response is going to be rendered in this text box here. So let's test this to see if it works. And to do that, go to Preview. And it should fire up our app, a test version of our app. Okay. And now I'm not going to type anything in here because I haven't hooked up yet the capability to customize a question. So I'm just testing to see if I click on this Get Response button right now, will I get that question that is hard-coded about the 5 possible strawberry marketing campaign titles. So if everything works, then 5 possible titles for a strawberry marketing campaign should show up underneath. So let me click on Get Response. And it works. So we have our 5 campaign titles. And the next thing we want to do is actually make it so that we can ask a question. So I'm going to go back to the editor. Let me actually go out of that and go back to our workflow and click on Step 1, Primary Connector Completion API. And this window pops up. And to make this dynamic, what we want to do is, if you remember earlier, I said this content here with the give me 5 possible titles is contains our actual question for ChatGPT. And I'm going to delete this and then click on Insert Dynamic Data. And then I'm going to click on Input A, because that's the element that contains the question that the user is asking. And then I'm going to select Input A's value. Okay, and then now I'm going to close out of this. And that should be it. So let's try this again. Go to Preview. And if everything's working, I should be able to type in a question here, any question I want, click Get Response, and then get ChatGPT's answer. So let's see, what should I ask? Please give me 5 titles for a mystery set in Victorian England. Okay, and I'm going to click Get Response. And there we go. We got 5 different titles for a murder mystery set in Victorian England. So let's try this again with something else. Please give me a slogan or actually, please give me a short jingle for a strawberry marketing campaign. Sure what we're going to get back here, so this could be kind of interesting. Okay, there we go. This is interesting. So it actually gives us a short jingle for our strawberry marketing campaign. It's actually not bad. Strawberry is so sweet, a juicy delight. They're the stars of the summer, shining so bright. From field to table, they're bursting with flavor. Taste the goodness, savor the savor. So that's it. That's my video, which shows you how to create an app in Bubble, which integrates with the OpenAI API via a Microsoft Azure function, and you can integrate ChatGPT into any app in this manner. So I hope this was helpful, and I will see you in my next video.